Hey everyone, welcome back to AcoEd Academy, the channel where we simplify accounting concepts and make them accessible to commerce students and working professionals. Today, we are diving into a fundamental aspect of accounting, the rules of debit and credit. These rules are like the building blocks of accounting, and understanding them is crucial for maintaining accurate financial records. So grab your notepads because we are about to decode the rules of debit and credit. Guys, before we start, we would like to say few things here. The first thing is event. What is event? The event is which is happened in our daily life. The event can be related to cash event or it may be non-cash event. So let's an example of cash event first. Suppose you have a business or a company and you are going to purchase some stationery for your office, and the dealer you have identified or the supplier you have identified from whom you are going to purchase this stationery. So if I talk about this event, it is a cash event. Why? Because as soon as you will purchase the stationery items from your supplier, you need to pay cash to your supplier, and instead of that your supplier will provide you or supply you some stationery, right? Now we are talking about the non-cash event. What is non-cash event? Suppose you met with a friend, a old friend, at a certain date. That is also event, but here no cash is involved, so we can't say this as cash event. It's a non-cash event. So why I explained this cash event and non-cash event? Because we deal in accounting only with cash event. So I hope this is clear to all of you what is cash event and what is non-cash event. Now, if you have seen my previous video, I explained about liabilities, income, capital, assets, and expenses. So before we jump into the examples, let's start by looking at the basic 5 key items in accounting. Here, what I have done here to represent these terms with an abbreviation. That is, liabilities I have denoted as L, income I have denoted as I, capital I have denoted as C, assets I have denoted as A, and expenses I have denoted as E. Guys, you will find why I have written here in my presentation as liabilities, income, capital, assets, and expenses. Why this order? You will come to know very soon. So stay tuned and watch my videos, and don't forget to subscribe my channel as well as like, share, comment, and do not forget to hit the bell icon for my upcoming videos. Think of these as the financial DNA of any business, these 5 terms. Now, we need to understand how these items are affected when we make transaction. Guys, I just tell you one word, that is transaction. Now let me explain you a little bit about transaction. Most of you have experienced one thing when you are paying to somebody. Suppose you have purchased some cold drinks from a shop and you are using your Google Pay, Phone Pay, Page app, anything. Now suddenly you got a message that transaction failed. Why? Because when you are going to purchase cold drinks from a shop, you need to pay something for that. The price you have to pay. Now, as soon as you take this cold drinks from the shopkeeper and you need to pay the cash to the shopkeeper, but it shows it is failed. There may have so many reasons to fail transactions. I don't want to discuss this, but the transaction is one is taking and one is giving. So that is called transaction. And guys, every transaction we record into our company's books of account, right? So that is called transaction. Two accounts are always involved in a transaction. Mind it, one should be debited and the other should be credited. I hope the transaction is clear to you what is exactly transaction is. Now I am going to explain you related to your debit and credit rules. Now I would emphasize a little bit on fund. Fund represent the financial resources a business uses and generates, right? Why I told you that uses and generates. Every business needs fund to run their business into a long period. So, fund may be utilized as well as funds must be created to run the business for a long period. Now here comes, there is a concept is going concern concept. The going concern concept tells us that a business must continue for many years, not for a short period, right? Every business needs a smooth flow of funds to operate efficiently. To keep track of how these funds are used and created, we must follow the rules of debit and credit. Now, as you can see that I have denoted as uses of fund to be denoted as debit and sources of fund to be denoted as credit. Why? Or in what situation my fund will be utilized, or in what situation my fund will be created. So let's explain a little bit at what situation my fund will be utilized first, uses of fund. So as you can see in my videos that when the liabilities is decreased, my fund will be used. When the income is decreased, then my fund will be utilized. When the capital is decreased, then my fund will be decreased. Uses, not decreased, it is uses. If I purchased assets, my assets will grow up and my fund will be utilized. If I incurred some cost to purchase printing and stationery, pay rent, salaries to employees, so I am incurring some cost. So if my expenses is increased, then my fund will be utilized. And you can see that the vice versa in case of sources of fund. So to remember this thing, which account to be debited and which account to be credited, guys, it is very simple. You just remember one big public insurance company, which is LIC. So uses of fund LIC minus AE plus, and just reverse LIC plus AE minus will be credited, right? Minus represents decrease and plus represents increase. So that's all for debit and credit rules, and I hope you understood what I mean to say just a few minutes back, right? And this is, guys, this is the approach where nowadays every renowned software are using this concept to denote debit and credit. You will not find as this account is debit, this account is credit. You will find everywhere the renowned software like SAP, like JD Edwards E1, everything you can see that it is plus or minus sign. Okay, so that's the beauty of learning the debit and credit rule by this method, and you will never forget or you will never miss to identify which account to be debited and which account to be credited. Now let's deep dive into some practical examples to understand how these rules work. So if you see, imagine your business, I'm talking about the liability minus, right? Imagine your business repays a loan. In this case, the company's liability decreases because it owes less money. So we debit the loan account, that is L minus. When income will be decreased, how it will be debited? So let's say an example. If your company gives a discount or a customer returns the purchased items, your income decreases. Hence, it is debited because your income is decreasing. The third one, capital. If your capital is decreased, let's have an example. Suppose the owner withdraws money from the business for personal use. This action reduces the capital and thus it's debited as capital is decreasing. The next, assets plus. When you buy an assets like a computer for business purposes, the assets value increases. So you debit the computer account, right? That is your assets is increasing. Expense plus, when your expenses increases, then now let's say you incur expenses for your business such as paying rent. This increases your expenses, so the rent expense account is debited because your expenses are increasing. Remember, every transaction involves two accounts. Because of the double entry system, one account is debited and the other is credited, ensuring the equation assets equals to liabilities plus capital remains balanced. Now guys, you can see I have mentioned here one equation, assets equals to liability plus capital. People says it's accounting equation, sometimes it's called balance sheet equation. And by this equation, in my next video, I will show you how you can arrive at trial balance. How can prepare a trial balance with this equation. Just need a little bit of algebra. So remember, my next video will be on trial balance. Now here is the task for you to analyze the credit side and send me your comments in the comment box. Now let's take one live example, right? And this will helps you to logically identify the debit and credit. As I told you that every transaction has two sides. One is debit side and the other is credit side. So my example is that stationery purchased on credit from X and Company Limited, right? So as I told you that every transaction has two accounts. So here in this transaction, we can easily identify that one account should be printing and stationery and the other account should be X and Company. Since it's a credit transaction, so there will be the supplier or the sundry creditors will be involved. So X and Company will be treated as your supplier, and as we can say in the accounting term is sundry creditors. So here you can see that printing and stationery account is in nature of expenses, and your expenses is increasing, right? So if your expenses is increased, then your fund will be utilized, hence it will be debited, right? And X and Company is your supplier, creditors. It is your liability to pay off this much amount to X and Company. So it is a liability and your company's liability is increasing. That is why the X and Company has been credited here. I hope the analysis, the logic of debit and credit is clear to you now. This means you are increasing expenses by debiting the printing and stationery account and increasing your liabilities by crediting X and Company. I have given one transaction. Please send the journal entry in my channel ACOED Academy's comment box, please. This is your home task, as you can see. And there you have it, the rules of debit and credit demystified. These rules are the backbone of accounting and will guide you in recording transactions accurately. So whether you are a commerce student or a working professional, mastering these rules is essential for a successful career in finance. If you have any question or want to share your own examples, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell to stay updated with more accounting insights. Thanks for joining us today at ACOED Academy, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.